FN just dropped the third generation of the FN Five-seven pistol, the Five-seven Mk3 MRD. The main takeaway here, it's the same FN Five-seven, more or less, that we all know and love, but with the ability to add a micro red dot optic. This doesn't sound like a huge step forward, but I think it's critical for a pistol like this. And there are a few other design changes as well, but we'll chat about that in just a moment. Let's start out with a brief discussion of the history and the purpose of the pistol before we dive right into the review. I'm going to abbreviate this part of the video because I've discussed FN Five-seven at length already in multiple videos. I'll drop links to those in the description or in cards so you can find them if you want a deeper dive. It's worth it. Promise. Five-seven's a wild-ass caliber. In the late 80s, early 90s, NATO fielded the idea of replacing 9mm for NATO handguns and PDWs. FN heeded the call, and in 1990, they invented the FN P90 submachine gun, built around a new caliber, the 5.7 by 28mm, also invented by FN. The 5.7 round was touted as a complete replacement for the 9mm, or as I call 5.7, 9mm's wife's boyfriend. It does everything better, at least on paper. 5.7 ammo uses a light and fast philosophy like the .223 round used by the M16. We're talking bullets that are less than half the weight of 9mm, but up to twice as fast as 9mm. Indeed, the 5.7 round even looks like a shortened 5.56 round, a little baby 5.56. It's got this bottleneck casing that increases feed reliability, and it feeds from double stack double feed magazines, just like an AR-15 mag. The FN Five-seven pistol has a reputation for excellent reliability because it doesn't use a true feed ramp. The rounds feed almost straight into a funnel-like beveled chamber instead. Related to that, the original FN Five-seven ammo was designated SS90 ammo, which was discontinued and redesigned to make it slightly shorter so it would work with both the P90 SMG and the soon-to-be-released companion pistol for the P90, the FN Five-seven pistol. The pistol was released in 1998. The OG 5.7 pistol was a double-action only gun with a shitty trigger, like over 10 pounds, no real slide serrations, and a round trigger guard. In 2004, the 5.7 IOM was introduced and sold to the public. The IOM added an accessory rail and adjustable sights, among other minor changes. The same year, the 5.7 USG was also introduced. The USG added a square trigger guard, and it had a reversible mag release. The official Mark II version was introduced in 2013, adding forward slide serrations and revised sights. The Mark II is still sold by FN, and it's still a great pistol. The biggest improvement from the Mark I to the Mark II versions, we'll call it, was a swap from a two-piece welded slide in the earlier models to using a single-piece slide under a polymer cover. Related to that, one of the main complaints about the FN Five-seven is it feels like an airsoft gun because the frame's polymer, but so is the slide. Bear in mind, however, the slide core, the barrel, the fire control group components, pins, springs are all steel. The slide polymer just goes over a metal one-piece slide. The Mark III MRD version I'm reviewing today was introduced in 2022. It's got a revised slide, deeper slide serrations, reprofiled frame, reprofiled receiver for better ergos, a new grip texture, and most importantly, it can accept red dot optics. Now, no review of this pistol would be complete without a discussion of the merits of the 5.7 round. I actually did a video, 5.7 reasons the 5.7 is better than 9mm. Check it out in the description if you're interested. Summarizing that video, number one, the 5.7 round has a smaller diameter than the 9mm casing, meaning you can get more rounds in a magazine. The FN Five-seven pistol holds 20 rounds in a flush-fit magazine, while a comparable 9mm will hold 17 or fewer generally. 5.7 is also much lighter recoiling, up to 30%, than 9mm, and depending on how you define effective range and who you ask, the 5.7 has at least double the effective range of 9mm. But the real trick up 5.7 sleeve is that restricted versions of the 5.7 round, such as the flagship SS-190 round, can penetrate armor up to level 3. 5.7 flat earthers refuse to believe that SS-190 can penetrate armor out of a pistol, but on my personal channel, linked below, we used SS-190 to penetrate everything up to and including level 3 armor. Here it is, level 3 armor. Ooh, yeah, look at this. So, this is weird. Look, there's a little hole right there. Wonder what exactly happened. But look at that, I mean, that's a square hit. Maybe it did go through, actually. I don't know. I mean, so look, there's the entrance hole. And I don't know, like that, could that have been an exit hole?
Yeah, it's split. It's split.
Okay, so yeah, look at that. You had the round go in. Unfortunately, we didn't capture it with our, little scientific water jugs back here, but that's your femoral artery gushing, or your pee-pee. After you got blasted. So it actually did go through. I didn't think so. Didn't really impart a lot of energy, but not something, I wouldn't want to be on the other side of that. There are a lot of varieties of commercial spec and mil spec ammunition. The commercial spec ammo will mostly be defeated by most handgun rated body armor, while mil spec varieties can penetrate level 2, level 3 armor, and some level 3 rifle plates. Yes, even out of a pistol. There are a bunch of different flavors of the 5.7, but here's a graphic showing the main varieties and their attributes. All these choices means that loading a 5.7 mag is a little bit like building a D&D raiding party, but for wealthy tactical financial advisors or Middle Eastern spec ops units. The revered SS-190 will come blazing out of a 5.7 pistol at over 2,100 feet per second, and again will penetrate up to level 3 body armor. One more time, check the description if you want to see a much more detailed, different kinds of ammunition versus different kinds of armor tests so you can see how they perform. Oh, and don't forget about SB-198. You can equip the 5.7 with a threaded barrel that will work suppressed. SB-198 is a 55 grain subsonic round, and believe it or not, it'll penetrate some soft armor. I don't know how that's possible. You hear it thumping the berm. Now, some people say, how's that different than 22LR? Well, subsonic 22LR is typically downloaded 40 grain ammo. This is 55 grain ammo that's significantly heavier with a projectile that can still do some damage and penetrate some kinds of soft body armor. Speaking of 22, and I've got to mention it here, that FN Five-seven will actually work splendidly with a 22 caliber suppressor. Not even kidding. I've done a video on that too. There are third-party barrel options right now if you want something threaded, but FN's rumored to be releasing a threaded barrel Mark III next year. Let's hope that happens. Now let's talk about specs. The 5.7 MRD uses a 4.8-inch cold hammer forged barrel, meaning that it has a reported service life of over 20,000 rounds, which is impressive for a fast, high-pressure round like the 5.7. The 5.7 is slightly larger than my Glock 17 at 8.2 inches in overall length, but it's actually lighter because of that mostly polymer construction. It's a mere 23.8 ounces, including an empty magazine. A 5.7 with an optic weighs the same as a Glock 17 without an optic. Height's 5.6 inches. The Mark III allows you to install most micro red dots quickly using a small shim adapter plate. Not a plate that bolts onto the slide that the sight bolts onto. The plates are basically spacers only, not load bearing. Unlike the original FN Five-seven, the Mark III uses an internal single action only hammer, meaning the trigger's pretty decent, about the same as a Glock. Expect 5 to 6 pound trigger weights. So it's not like a match grade trigger or anything, but it's not bad either. I measured it last night at like 5.25 pounds. Now some haters, poor people, will say that 5.7 cheats the spec sheet by having a narrower diameter than 9mm, giving it more capacity, but the case length is significantly longer to get that Billy Joel's car after 9 beers velocity, and power. So the argument goes the grip is too wide as a result. I don't find that true at all, and the backstrap measurement of the 5.7 is roughly the same as a Beretta 92, and it feels the same as my Glock 17. If you're okay with that, you're okay with the 5.7. The grip's been slightly redesigned in the Mark III with a more modern texture and a slightly modified geometry, but it appears to maintain that same grip angle that the high power is known for. It's got a photoluminescent front sight, i.e. not a tritium night sight, but like the glow-in-the-dark stars you had in your ceiling as a kid kind, you know what I mean? Like you charge it with light. And an adjustable rear sight. The slide release is on the left-hand side, but it has a reversible mag catch and an ambi safety. The ambi safety is unusual. It's located above the trigger. You can operate it with either the thumb of your support hand or your trigger finger. Okay, safety. Oh, that's right. Safety's in this weird place. I'm sitting here messing around with the slide lock, but you see it's got an ambi safety in the middle of the gun, which, I don't know, kind of cool, I guess. It's a little like dating a hot 50-year-old, kind of weird, but it's easy to get used to. The current MSRP for the FN Five-seven MRD is stout at $1,449. But this is a premium gosh darn handgun shooting Gucci ammo. On paper, the Mark III is about $100 more expensive than the Mark II model for MSRP. In my opinion, absolutely worth the upgrade. Don't even think about it. However, I've found Mark II models for as little as $900. You can get them for $999 at most big box retailers. In the meantime, the Mark III is brand new. It's back ordered everywhere, and everyone's selling it for a full $1,449. So that $500 price difference might change your perspective. Might be a good idea to kind of wait after the early adopters get it and the prices go down. Now, even though there's over 95% parts compatibility between the Mark II and the Mark III, there are some really cool changes I haven't mentioned yet that you're not going to find out there, like in FN's brochure. Strangely enough, even the Mark II slide will fit onto the new Mark III frame. Now, because the grip base profile has changed slightly, however, base plates from Mark II magazines are going to fit very snugly, but they're still going to work. It's not going to be a perfect fit. But again, the only change is the base plate, mag body, and everything else is the same. The trigger also has a new special coating that gives it an even better trigger than the Mark II. Project managers with FN say that it feels similar to a well-broken-in Mark II right out of the box. They've also switched the internal treatment of the barrel. Prior versions of the 5.7 were chrome lined. This new version is nitrided. Manufacturers are rapidly switching from chrome lining to nitriding because nitriding isn't an additive process like chrome lining. It's a treatment of the metal that's already there, if that makes sense. It leads to better accuracy. FN claims that this new nitrided barrel will actually be more accurate than prior chrome-lined versions of the 5.7 pistol, which are already really accurate. Other than that, the loaded chamber indicator is in a different place, and the magazine release has been slightly recontoured. I think I've run over all the differences at this point. This isn't an overhaul as much as it is an evolution. The changes between the Mark II and the Mark III unlock the potential of the 5.7 as a pistol. 5.7's made for a dot. With flat trajectory, long range performance for a handgun, and low recoil, it's almost a crime to have an FN 5.7 pistol without a dot. This is such a flat shooting, inherently accurate platform that to really maximize its capability, a red dot is essential. The roughly $100 upcharge MSRP is 100% absolutely worth the Mark III over the Mark II. Would that $400 or $500 street price difference be worth the cost? I guess that's up to you to decide for now, but again, I think I see the prices coming down in the Mark III in the future. If you want to see what I'm talking about, check out this bananas accuracy I was able to squeeze out of my Mark III. FN 5.7, 25 yards, 10 rounds. So that's the thing with the FN 5.7. Oops, I meant to hold it right there. That's the thing with the FN 5.7. Low recoil. We're able to mount an optic on this one. I threw a couple of flyers, but You can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rounds, all in, God, I'm gonna say like 2.5, 3 inches. You know, so that's really good accuracy, notwithstanding the fact it's got like a duty grade trigger. That's about a 3-inch group from 25 yards standing at a casual pace, which is about as good as what most shooters would do from a bench rest with 9mm or 45 and iron sights. As you can tell, I have virtually no complaints about this gun. I was very impressed with it. The only issue I had is if you don't go straight down on the magazine release, you're gonna get a little bit of friction. Happened to me a couple of times. This is already a pretty tricky gun to manipulate if you have baby hands. So the magazine manipulation might complicate your woes. But I mean, other than that, that's really the only issue I had. The gun was 100% reliable. We put all kinds of ammo through it. Shooting the gun's a dream. Big flash, big bang, big accuracy, big range, little recoil. If money were no object, a definite buy. Possibly James J. Reeves Hall of Fame. But of course, not only is the gun expensive, but the ammo's expensive, and the big caveat, this is still, relatively speaking, a new round. So maybe not so much new, but boutique and expensive ammo, and the military and law enforcement restricted ammo is hard to find, hard for your average civilian to get. So that means there's not a lot of data out there about 5.7 performance. I've recommended previously Buffman. He's got a great series of videos on the FN Five-seven round. Seems like he's pretty impressed with it, as am I. On the other hand, I have seen disappointing results from civilian sporting rounds in gel. There's also this report from the Association of Firearm and Toolmark Examiners from a while back where the examiner who reviewed data relative to 5.7 performance issued a bold proclamation saying that agencies shouldn't issue the 5.7. Now, to be fair, that report was pretty heavily criticized, but you should be aware that there are some sources out there who dispute the performance of the 5.7 round, but there are not many pistols out there that will defeat body armor and still tumble through 12 inches of ballistic gel. So in my non-scientific opinion, I would not like to be shot in the chest with FN Five-seven. Oh, stated another way, all the data looks pretty good to me, but I'm still not 100% convinced that 5.7 is a better option for regular civilians like us than 9mm at this time. If we knew that hypothetically 5.7 really did outperform 9mm in practice, just like it does on paper, then I could confidently say the 5.7 Mark III, definite buy 100%. Ammo's expensive, but if enough of you animals buy the 5.7, or if you'd rather get a Ruger 5.7 or the PSA Rock or a Keltec P50, we would increase the volume of 5.7 manufacturing and bring down the price. Yeah, this video is 100% absolutely a self-serving conspiracy to bring down the cost of 5.7 ammo for me personally. In spite of any alleged controversy, you can't ignore that there are dozens of armed forces, military branches, special operations units that have all wholeheartedly adopted the FN Five-seven. Obviously, the entire Belgian armed forces have adopted the 5.7 as the replacement to the high power. The Saudi Arabian armed forces, naturally, they adopted their 5.7 pistol to be a sidearm, complementing their G-Wagon APCs and their Lamborghini tanks. Mexico, Thailand, even Nepal's armed forces have all adopted the 5.7 pistol. Two of the most elite units in the world, the French GIGN and the US Secret Service, have also adopted the FN Five-seven. Are you, YouTube commenter, are you going to disagree with French Terry Domers and the personal bodyguards of the most powerful official in the world? I mean, now, if none of that convinces you at all, perhaps you can be persuaded by someone who, the more I learn about him, the more I realize that we are gun brothers from another mother. This man bought 367 matching sets of the FN P90 and the 5.7 pistol for use by his personal guard. That's right, it's your boy, Colonel Mo Al Gaddafi, back again with the swag. He bought hundreds of matching sets of the P90 and the FN Five-seven. Last time I was in Italy, I got to handle Gaddafi's personal gold, fully automatic Beretta 93, and I got to ride on a 1969 Riva wooden boat that he used to rent right by his chateau on Azeo Lake. I mean, I gotta tell you, other than war crimes, he seemed like a pretty chill dude with good taste. Speaking of good taste, you guys have great taste for watching TFBTV, and we, in turn, have extraordinary taste in sponsors. If you want to get an FN Five-seven, you can pick one up from my boys at Top Gun Supply. I'll drop a link in the description. And if you want to get 5.7 ammo, I literally actually purchase my 5.7 ammo from Ventura Munitions because they always have a good supply and some of the best prices and availability on it. We might be talking about the FN Five-seven today, but you're not a 5, you're not a 7, you're a 10 to me. Okay, maybe like an 8.5, but I mean, you get it. I love you. Take care, guys.
Yeah.